All right. Hello, fellow comic book ones. This is Name. Welcome to my channel. I have a guest today. I call him Otaku Hyung. He's from the channel Otaku Tour Guide. He's a brand new comic book channel. He got a lot of good content already up there, so please go check him out. I'll provide the link below. But in the meantime, let's meet the dude. He's a collector, and we're going to discuss his comic book collection. So Otaku Young, how are you, sir?
Naman Young, how are you?
Oh, I'm doing great. I'm doing great.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for hosting this discussion.
Yeah, this is I don't know. This is still my maybe third or fourth live thing. It's always a little nerve wracking. So I need to start with some drink.
Oh yeah, I
I'm
hear you.
drinking Yangling. What about you?
I'm drinking some Jameson IPA whiskey.
Holy
Good
cow!
stuff. It's fancy stuff.
Okay, I'm gonna cheers. Come back.
Cheers, from there.
Come back.
Oh yeah,
Ah.
that's good stuff.
All right, I'm ready. Come on, crowd. So, the thing I was going to ask, this is going to be a new series. I already discussed that with you. Um, it's where I try to meet up with the collectors. They don't have to be comic book collectors, but I just want to meet up with the collectors. It's great if they're a comic book collector, but I want to meet up with the collectors and talk about their collection. And you have a cat?
Yeah, my cat's wanting attention right now.
All right. Maybe she likes my voice or not like it. Anyway, uh, we're gonna go through um, why the collector collect and all that stuff. So let's start with you, Otaku Young. Um, what is your origin story? What is your origin story?
Yeah, I've been collecting since 1986, but my first comic books were actually 2 years before that. I was reading, Marvel superheroes, Secret Wars, and GI Joe were two of my first comic books that I read. And then in 1986, I picked up an issue of like classic X-Men and jumped right into X-Men. I also picked up issue 2 of The Dark Knight Returns, and that was just like, wow. I think I was like, I must have been in like 6th grade or 7th grade when I read that, and it just like, it was a little violent and it wasn't really meant for kids, so I just felt like, oh, I'm reading something I shouldn't be reading. But it was just so cool. Like, it was Batman, Frank Miller, and a great story. So that's what got me collecting. And then I just started, picking up X-Men books. And as I collected X-Men, Jim Lee came along, and he just, kind of changed the way I look at comic books. That they could be these like amazing pieces of just a really impressive visual medium. So that's what got me into really collecting X-Men. And then the whole 90s boom happened, and once I went to college, I had a little bit more, I guess, money to spend on comics, so I was buying like Image books and did all that. But then when I graduated college, I kind of forgot about my collection, and I really kind of moved away from it. I actually moved out of the country. I lived in South Korea for many years.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I lived in Japan for a few years.
Wow.
In total, I spent 17 years in East Asia. And
Wow.
I was out of comic books that entire time.
Oh,
I got married. I had, I had a baby. I have a 2-year-old right now. And during the pandemic, I got some of my comic books from my old comic books from that when I used to collect back from my parents' place. And I realized I had a few really, valuable books. And that's what got me to, so I decided, hey, let's submit some books to CGC, see what we get. And it got me excited about comic books and collecting again. And now I just started this YouTube channel where I just go through, what I pick up in terms of like my comic hauls. I went to Emerald City Comic Con last year, met Jim Lee, got some books signed, and it's just been really, really fun to get back into collecting.
Well, you're a self-proclaimed Jim Lee #1 fan.
That's right.
I'm gonna concede and just be a #2 fan. Okay.
Because I've been putting the challenge out. If you feel like you're a bigger Jim Lee fan than me, let's throw down our collections and take a look. No one's really.
You heard the challenge. You heard the challenge.
No one's responded yet.
So the #1 challenge from this video is that Otaku Hyung is challenging you guys to throw down your Jim Lee collection. See who's #1 fan. I already considered #2, so I don't want to slide to #3. But you have the challenge. So while you're in Korea and while you're in Japan, were you able to pick up on any like mangas or manhwa? Korean call it manhwa and Japanese call it manga. Were you able to pick those up?
Well, so when I was in Japan, all the manga was in Japanese language. So they don't really have English language manga out there. But, again, it's a visual medium. So I picked up a few books at the used bookstore, like the volumes that, like, for example, Slam Dunk, Evangelion, some Gundam. All of those titles just visually looked appealing to me. And I got the Japanese language manga to just collect, just have a few of the issues. Because they were really cheap. They were like, like $3 a book. So, and that's just a fun thing. I also picked up a lot of like knickknacks here, like manga and anime related knickknacks. So I was that's kind of where my interests were as well. I wasn't collecting comic books, but I definitely was into like toys, like manga toys and manga content like anime and all that. So yeah.
Yeah, I got like a couple series, I think. You know what Paduk is? Yeah, the Go game. There's some kind of Go King. I think that's my son's collection. And there was my son collected Barrel Lawyer, and I confiscated that from him. He was like only like 11 or something. So I confiscated that. I will give him back now, but it's in my collection for now. But so you're gonna see. Hey, one more question I do have. Since you say you've been to Korea, have you visited Manhwapang, the comic book store where you could just you get just charged by the hour? Have you visited one of those places?
Yeah, those places are great. It's just a nice place to go, read comic books. So essentially what it is, they have all the volumes of comic books. You go in there and you pay by the hour. You can buy snacks. They have a nice little reading area. So you just pick the comic books you want to read and just sit down and read. And then you put them back. You're just kind of lending them to read. They don't have anything like that here in the United States. But
they have a library.
They have the library, but library comic collection's not so good.
Yeah.
It's essentially like your local comic book shop, except rather than buying, you're just paying time to sit in there and read all the comic books that you want.
I love those places. That's what I mean. When 40-some years ago, almost 50, I used to go to those places, and that's how I got my comic book fix. Right?
Yeah.
You can buy them because that's not something we kids can afford. But we could, go and rent the time for those comic books, and those are great. So I was wondering if they still exist, and you've been to one.
So that's a good point. They did exist, but they were soon overtaken by. So when I went to Korea initially, they were all over the place. And then they were gradually got replaced by PC bangs, which is like,
Oh,
yeah.
no.
So kids stopped reading manhwa and they got into like PC games.
StarCraft and all that.
Yeah, and so those manhwa bangs all disappeared.
Mm.
Yeah.
Well,
It's
I
kind
see
of
some
sad.
still around. I see some still around. They have like a booth, like a treehouse booths and like a little beehive, little booth, the
Yeah.
reading books that you could privately read, and they will bring all kind of food. Those are neat. I would like to visit one of those places. Yes,
Yeah.
sir. I'm drinking Yangling tonight. Show your drinking.
Whiskey.
Whiskey.
Jameson whiskey.
He's doing the strong stuff. I'm doing just a beer.
They'll put me to bed real quick.
All right, let's show your top 5 in your collection of comic books.
Okay, so top 5. I chose 5 comic books that aren't slabbed. I have slabs back here, and I also have some books submitted to CGC. Those are actually the best books in my collection, but rather than show those, I thought I'd just show the ones that haven't been slabbed, that I may get slabbed someday. And these are all of these are recent pickups within the last 6 months. So these are things that I picked up once I got back into collecting, which was during the pandemic. I had a lot of free time, and then again, like I said, I had some of my older books, and I realized I had a lot of valuable books in my collection, and I started getting right back into getting into the hobby. And the hobby has changed so much with grading and just the values, and so it's incredible to see the transformation. I was collecting during that 90s boom, so all my Image books and all that, they're just worthless. But fortunately, I did collect some Marvel and some older books, wall books that have retained their value and are still considered, collectible. But I'll start with this one. This is Action Comics 419. It's a Neil Adams Superman cover. Just love it. It's just Nama, you and I share a love for Superman.
Of course.
Yeah, he's our favorite superhero.
Yeah.
And I was, I think, like 5 or 6 when that Christopher Reeve Superman movie came out. My parents took me to go see it in the theater, and that was just an amazing experience. It just stays with you, and to this day, that movie remains my favorite comic book movie. It's sort of really one of the first real big, blockbuster box office super comic book movies.
He come right. One thing bad about that was bad timing. He come right after Star Wars.
Yeah.
So it was like, if that came first, if the Superman came before the Star Wars did, people would have just flipped over, right? But because they saw that, all that special effect from the Star Wars, and it came right after that, it was like,
Yeah. I mean, the special effects in that movie aren't all that wonderful. I mean, it's still a great movie, but special effects back then weren't that great.
Let me see if I could make you bigger than me here. Just a second. No, other way around. Show that comic book.
Yeah. Action Comics 419. Neil Adams cover. Just a beautiful cover. And this is a pretty good grade. If I were to get this graded, I predict this would be
a 7.5.
A 7.5.
Is that a Silver Age or is it still Bronze Age?
This is a Bronze Age. Early Bronze
Age.
Early Bronze Age, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
The next book is Secret Wars Yeah,
Oh,
number 8.
money book, money book.
This is a hot, yeah, this is a hot book. Now I picked this up. This was a grail book for me. And when I said this is like some of the first comic books I read, this was like the first, one of the first in that series that I read. I had this book. It was just, like the cover fell off. It was just torn and tattered. But I loved the story in this, and of course, there's a panel in here, the original art by Mike Zeck, the panel where the symbiote costume emerges on Peter Parker for the first time. That sold at auction for $3.3 million. So
Right. Yeah.
that's just incredible to think about. Comic book art commanding those kinds of prices these days. I mean, that's like what most fine art can't even go for. So it's just incredible.
I used to say comic book collecting is like a cheap way to collect art, but maybe not anymore.
Maybe not anymore. Yeah, it's getting, and the art has changed too. Like if you look at what comic book panels used to look like when we were collecting comic books compared to what they look like now in terms of just the advances in digital techniques.
Yeah.
The panels look just amazing now, and you can really do so many things with the panels. They're not just little square boxes anymore. They're their own designs. They're their own full panels, and it's just it's incredible.
Yep. Agree.
All right, next up we've got the silent issue.
Hey, I just gave it away.
Yeah, this is the one. I actually, was like, wow, he's giving that away. But yeah, I got this one. This is a really clean copy. I would say it's a 9.0, possibly higher. If I do send it, I am going to get it pressed, and we're hoping around 9.2. That's what we're hoping for.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is Silent Issue, and it's my favorite comic book of all time. Larry Hama did the story and the art for the entire book. So, and he's, he's a legend, and he's one of my favorite creators in comic books. He's just so masterful. He created all the G.I. Joe characters that, I grew up with watching the television cartoon series and the comic books. So yeah, this is definitely, like, for me, the best book in my collection, my favorite book in the collection. And if I can get, I don't know if I necessarily want this issue signed by Larry Hama, but if I can get another book and I have an opportunity to meet Larry Hama and get a book signed, that would be really amazing. What are your thoughts on Larry Hama?
He's the creator of that comic book.
Yeah,
I haven't read it. I haven't read it. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a Japanese American. I mean, he's been in the industry for so long, since the bronze, mid or maybe early mid Bronze Age, all the way through to today. And he's just created and written and drawn on so many different titles. I think he's currently doing one of the Wolverine titles right now, but he's been on Wolverine for a long time as well. He's one of the original, or one of the first writers.
He's a writer and artist?
He is both a writer and artist, but he's more known for his writing than he is for his artwork. His pencils aren't in that many books that I know of. So you definitely will see more books where he's the writer rather than the artist.
Because you showed that book, I want to show this off.
No, what is that? Snake Eyes?
Yeah.
Is that an original? So who drew that?
I did.
Oh, you drew that. Wow, that's really good.
Yeah, but I shouldn't have signed it, because it is just I just look at reference, and I just, copied it, but I didn't trace it, but I copied it. And so I shouldn't put my name on there, but I was gonna give it away, but then I put my name on it and I said, I'm not giving that away.
I'm gonna have you do some sketches for me. That's amazing. I didn't know you did your own sketches.
Yeah, this is why one of the reasons why I like comic books is because at one time I want to be a comic book artist, just like Jim Lee.
Well, you definitely have the talent to do so. That's really amazing work.
Unlike Jim Lee, I couldn't overcome my parents' wishes. Jim Lee overcame it. I didn't.
Yeah, and we're all thankful that Jim Lee chose comic books rather than medicine.
Yeah, he almost got his medicine degree.
He got into medical school. He was like that close to going to medical school and becoming a doctor. So
yeah, so
we're all fortunate that didn't happen.
Yeah, the only thing that I could negotiate out of my parents was that I didn't want to be a doctor. I couldn't stand sight of blood. Only thing I can negotiate out of them is that they want to be okay. Then be a lawyer, and I said no. So I said, okay, I'll be an engineer.
Career options for Koreans: doctor or lawyer.
Yeah, doctor or lawyer, and barely acceptable is engineer.
Yeah, third would be like multi-billion-dollar CEO. That would probably be third.
Those guys. And so that's I was gonna give that away, but I said, this is just copy from someone else's work. So I didn't think that was properly. I shouldn't put my name on it. So, but I only know how to copy. I cannot create my own work yet. Not it's only a hobby. So.
All right. So my last two books is a signed copy of Storm Shadow Cover. It is signed by Larry Hama.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. Let me make you big here. Woo.
Yeah. First of all, I love this cover. Storm Shadow is my favorite character in G.I. Joe. And the fact that Larry Hama signed it right there is just awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. So this is one of my favorite books in my collection. And
so if you're going to send that in, you have to send it to CBC?
I'm not going to send this in. I'm perfect to have it. I'm happy to have it in a top loader. I don't need a grade associated with it. I don't need it to be verified. I know it's his signature, so I'm just happy to have this as is. It doesn't need to be slabbed. And I feel the same way about this book. This is Web of Spider-Man #4. It's signed by Stan Lee.
Whoa!
It's a really nice signature. Oftentimes you'll see the CGC signature series, books where he's doing like 700 signatures in one sitting. This is not one of those. And as you can see, he really put the flair in the signature there. It's not like one of those like.
Also, he didn't put it where it would ruin the cover. Sometimes he likes to do that. I don't know why.
Yeah, a lot of those he'll just put it right in the middle of it.
Yeah,
he doesn't. But this one, yeah, he put some thought into it and he put the flair in, so it's a really pretty signature. I mean,
congratulations, that's awesome.
Yeah. So yeah, those are the 5 books that right now are my favorites. The favorites are always kind of shifting and changing, but for now, those are the 5 I wanted to show.
I'm totally impressed, and I'm jealous and envious. All those bad emotions. I need a drink. Cheers. No, those are good. That's so great. So, we're about 24 minutes into this. I want to make a little bit. Definitely want to be a little less than an hour. So why do we collect stuff? What is the philosophy in collecting? You want to discuss some of that stuff? By the way, maybe I need another beer. Let's do that.
That's a good question. I think I'm a little bit of a hoarder. And meaning like when I get stuff that I want, it's hard to like sell it, or like I just kind of collect and collect. I would be a bad, I think, reseller or flipper, because if something comes into my possession and I like it, I'll just have it forever. I'll hang on to it. I'll keep it. It's hard for me to let that go.
You don't buy like 2 copies?
I do. I've been buying 2 copies of stuff I really like my Jim Lee collection. I'll have, if I see a Jim Lee book and it's reasonably priced in a long box somewhere, I'll pick it up, because it's just something I don't think I can have too many of his certain books that I like of his. I can never have too many copies of that. So, yeah. A lot of people are collecting Alpha Flight for. So if we're talking about Jim Lee books, I do want people to be aware. There's an Alpha Flight number 51. That's true. Wording is a good thing, I guess. I definitely know why I'm a hoarder. It's because, my parents are actually, they were very young during the Korean War. And both of my parents, so both of my grandparents are originally from North Korea.
Oh,
And
okay.
when the war broke out, Korean War broke out, they had to, escape North Korea. They came to the South. And so they were refugees in South Korea, North Korean refugees in South Korea. And they had to just pretty much take what they could hold from their household and, run away with that.
Much like what Ukrainians are not doing.
Exactly. Much like the situation in Ukraine.
Yeah.
When war breaks out, you just grab what you can and you head for the border. And so my parents were very young. Actually, my mom hadn't even been born yet. She was born as a refugee. And my father was, like 4 at the time. So they came to South Korea, and they were, refugee status in South Korea. And so they don't throw away stuff. They kind of, if it comes into the house, it will
stays
stay
in
in
the
the
house.
house. You'll just use it. You'll use it till it breaks.
Right.
And you won't even throw away when it breaks, because it could get repaired down the line. I don't know what their thinking was, but they'll just get another one and they'll keep the broken one. And that was kind of the logic in my household. And so I think I adopted some of that with the hoarding. No, I do not have a samurai one, Sanin, and I'll explain the reason I don't have that. I want one, but my concern is I feel like that book, there are copies out there that aren't authentic.
Oh, really?
That's how I feel, because that's a book that you can't really, you could duplicate through printing and put multiple copies out there, and there's no way to verify whether that's just a copy of the book or if it's an authentic version. So if I get something authenticated, I will pay the money for that. But right now it's really expensive. It's like it's like $150 for copies.
Wow.
These aren't even high grade copies.
Mm.
And there's just no way to authenticate. So yeah, the Santa issue is one I want to collect. It's just, I'm not going to pay top dollar for something that I don't know whether it's legitimate or not. It's kind of like the Eastman and Laird early stuff. You just don't know. Stuff like that comes to market, but you just can't authenticate it. So why would you pay thousands of dollars for something that you really have no way of verifying outside of these third-party verification services? So yeah, that's why I've held off on getting that book. But back to my point, I was saying Alpha Flight number 51, which is the first issue of that featured Jim Lee art on the interior. That's the one collectors really go after. It's Jim Lee's first work for Marvel, but I would steer Jim Lee collectors' attention towards 53, which is not the next issue. It's the issue after. Alpha Flight 53 features not only his interior work, but his first cover. So if you're going to like get a comic slabbed and if you're going to collect something, 53 is the one to pick up because it's his first cover in comic books. And think about it. What do people collect Jim Lee for? Obviously the interior as well. But right now, he's just doing a bunch of variant covers and people are, going around trying to collect those variant covers, and that's all he's doing on the book. He's just drawing the cover and some other artist is doing the interiors. So if you want to collect something, collect Alpha Flight 53. It's Wolverine on the cover. Wolverine's on the cover. It's a yellow comic book, so it really pops, and it's so cheap. It's like $2, $3, whereas 51 is going for like $20, $30. So I think as a Jim Lee fan, 51, yeah, I want to get that book, but I think 53 in terms of collectability and significance, that it being his first cover and really second interior work has more collectability than Alpha Flight 51.
This DC Irish is a slabber. DC Irish is also a fairly new channel, so you guys ought to introduce yourselves.
Hi, DC Irish. Thanks for popping in.
He collects. He calls his users slabbers. sounds like a curse word, but as long as he calls himself. You pause there for a little bit. Are you okay?
I think we broke up there. I'm also having dried squid snacks. I don't know how many of you have tried this or like it, but it's
bragger.
It's good with alcohol.
Yeah, it's awesome. Anju, Korean call it a side dish. Anju, it's a very important part of your drink. If you're gonna drink, if you're gonna outlet somebody in drink, you gotta have anju, right? Because just filling your stomach with alcohol is not a good thing.
Yeah, not a good thing. Yeah, thank you, Jim Lee. Yeah, I love connecting with people who appreciate Jim. I mean, it's the majority of people. I mean, I don't know too many people who don't appreciate Jim Lee work. But from all those artists who left Marvel to create Image, all the Image creators, they're all great artists. They're all legends. They're all Hall of Famers. But I mean, for me, Jim Lee is like the guy. And he's really had sort of if you look at his like career progress, he's done so many of the top books and he's the top guy at DC now. It's really, and Tom McFarlane also has done very well for himself. All those guys have. But if you look at like McFarlane, for me, I've kind of cooled off on McFarlane's style and art as I've aged and matured. It just isn't as cool as it used to be back in the 90s. Like when I look at McFarlane art now, I don't see. I mean, it's still like when he does the homage stuff to himself, that's still pretty cool. But outside of that, there's nothing really desirable. Whereas, like I feel like Jim Lee's just done a lot of the really cool books for DC over the past couple of years. So he's constantly putting out, variant covers that are really nice to look at. And you see like Batman, all the little progressions, and he integrates that into the covers. So it's really nice to see. Whoa. Original art. That's amazing.
If you like calamari, dry squid is like beef jerky. It has a little slight fishy taste to it, but it doesn't have the aftertaste that some fish have. it goes away quickly, and it's a really good snack. It's a really good snack. I think a lot
Yeah,
of
it's good. It's good. You
yeah.
got to if you don't like that fishy kind of taste, I don't think you'd necessarily like it. But if you're fine with it, then yeah, it's just kind of like beef jerky in a lot of ways.
Cool. I'd like to see that Horizon Jimmy's
Yeah,
original.
we've got to see your is it like a remark, or is it like an original an original page is like that would be tens to hundreds of thousands of dollars for an original comic page, depending on what kind of comic it was.
It's from
Wow.
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 Well, it's not actually Jim Lee pencil. It's Barry Windsor. That's still
Drew.
cool. That's still cool. Would love to see that.
Yeah. Well, shoot. That's a now let's it's a it's 36 minutes into it. I don't want to make it longer than the 45 minutes. So let's discuss what we're gonna do next. Because our plan is that we're gonna start collaborating between Otaku Hyung and me, and I want to meet a collector. We want to meet collectors for each one of these episodes and do something like this with each collector and just get to know them. And maybe Otaku Hyun can finally meet up with a Jim Lee fan of his caliber because he's a super Jim Lee fan. But yeah, so what is our plan? Can you sort of go over that?
Yeah, I think we're going to talk about the future of our collections. Was that what you want to talk about?
Oh, I missed that, didn't I? I missed that, didn't I? I'm sorry. Yeah.
No, it's okay.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's do that. What is this? Only slab flight?
He's looking at the census data for the Alpha Flight 53s. So yeah. I don't know why they're so cheap. They're like, you can go to an LCS, go through the Alpha Flight bin, and probably find a copy for like $2, $3.
I think right now people's focus, and I think this is fad, honestly. I think people's focus on these keys. They call it keys, and keys based on just movies and stuff, right? And then TV shows, like keys. Like to me, like Jim Lee first cover is key. That to me is a key. To me, that's a real history there. Like it's like a John Hancock signing his first. That's a key.
Yeah, it's a key.
Yeah,
it's a key, and what makes it even better is it's a Wolverine cover. If it was if it was like Puck or somebody, like Sasquatch, no one would care about the cover, but it's a Wolverine cover as his first cover. So there's a lot of collectability there. And again, I keep telling people, go out and get it while it's still cheap. Because as soon as Key Collector, says, okay, you know what, let's focus more on this book and give it some attention, that price is going to shoot right up, and
yeah,
people are going to hoard the copies. So go out and get it while it's cheap.
Yeah, like
I'm doing that to my own detriment because I'm trying to pick up as many as I can, but I hope I don't have competition.
Don't worry about it. There's only 3 people watching this video. But, if you're talking with Tom, what's his name? Tom, the comic, what is his name? If you're talking about those guys,
yeah.
They've mentioned it, it'll go up next day,
Yeah. But I do want to give a shout out to Comic Tom and Russ. Those guys are local to my area, so I stopped by their comic shop, which is Mill Geek Comics, and they have a great comic shop, great a great place for digging through old issues, bargain bins. They also have new comics, and they don't they keep the variant covers and the ratio variants reasonably priced. They don't like, sticker shock those new comic books like a lot of the other retailers do. So, it's a great place to really pick up comics, and Russ is so knowledgeable. He's the guy on the show that does the the top 10 trending comics list with Tom. But Russ, not too many people know this, he has the largest Peach Momoko collection in the world, like original art collection in the world. And that's because he's personal friends with Peach Momoko. So he has 2 original Peach Momoko paintings in the shop. So if you go there, you can see them. They're amazing. I mean, they're just larger than life. They're in frames. They're sort of big pieces of work, and he has a bunch of those apparently in his personal collection. So yeah, when I saw that and I heard that he's got this largest Peach Momoko original art collection in the world, I was just like, wow, that's really impressive. So yeah, shout out to those guys. Those guys are local to my area, and it's fun to run into them from time to time. At different
What you should do is just take your camera over there and make a video.
Yeah, I'll do that. I'll do that at some point. Yeah.
Walk through their place. I'm sure they won't mind either.
They don't mind. Yeah. They'll take pictures for you and everything. So.
Yeah, do that. They should get you some views on that video.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, my nephew's here, Hobby Hobbs. He goes, Uncle Nutman, 3 people for his lot. Thanks, my nephew. Love you.
That's great that your nephew's tuning into your
Hey,
channel.
why aren't you sleeping? Huh?
So yeah, I think the future for my collection.
Oh wait, hold on. Link to is a jail page, so you can see the print there. Is that what you're saying? Jim Lee's page.
He's gonna link the art. He's gonna link the art.
Oh, okay.
Can you put it in like the chat?
I don't think he can. I didn't give him a wrench.
Okay. Well, I mean, if you comment on this video after it airs, if you put the link there, I can access it there. I'd love to see it. So it was a Valiant Deathmate original art. That's really cool.
Hoarder's Hide, can you see if he can link provide a link there? I give you a star. I wonder if that will give you link privileges. You want about to go to sleep? Oh, sure. Good night, nephew.
Does he collect comic books?
No, he doesn't.
Oh, he doesn't.
Yeah, I give him some comic. I'm going to give him some comic books so he could start collecting. But
yeah, Hoarder's Hide. Just put it in the comments on this video later, and I'll access it. I'll take it. Yeah, you don't want to smell my breath right now. It's not very not very fresh.
Yeah, it's not a dating drink. Dating.
Not a dating. It's Although in Korea, people date and do eat that on dates.
All right, watch it on rewind. Yeah, I got my nephew supporting my channel.
That's awesome.
Okay, so
I just finished my Jim Lee X-Men run. I got the last issue 269. So I'm done with my Jim Lee X-Men run. It's finished.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I've finished my Jim Lee Superman run. I've finished my Jim Lee X-Men run. I'm three issues away from finishing my Jim Lee X-Men Volume 2 run, which is only 11 issues, but still.
Mhm.
And I'm only gonna say on your channel, because I haven't made the announcement yet on my channel, but I finished my Batman Hush run too.
Oh wow, okay.
I bought all 12 books this weekend.
Wow.
I got it really cheap. I got it for $80. $80 for 12 books.
Wow.
Yeah, wow.
Wow.
And I mean they say so the guy posted as a 5.0 grade, but if you look at the pictures, they all look like high grade copies. He only posted as a 5.0 just because he doesn't want to like claim that they're high grade or whatever, but they look like high grade copies to me. So yeah, happy to add that. And so that was sort of the last thing on my Jim Lee checklist. So once I finish that and I'm done with the X-Men Volume 2, I'll just pick up Jim Lee books here and there, like, random rare stuff, covers, and I'll try to focus on something else. But Jim Lee has been pretty much the focus of the past year. I think what I'm going to focus on next is Peach Momoko. I'm going to try to collect as many Peach Momoko variant covers as I can, because I really love what she's doing with her art.
Mm. I'm a little upset because that's all she seems to be doing is covers, right? She don't do internal work.
She is
She does
the
internal.
Demon Days X-Men. It's her first, not only interior of her first interior that I know of, but cover. She also wrote the story, so it's a very Japanese. It's set in Japan. It has Mariko Yashida in the story. It's set in Japan, and it deals with Japanese like demons. And so yeah, go check that out. That's her first real sort of comic book outside of covers that I know of. But she is doing more stuff within the interior now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? My nephew said he collects baseball cards. I just realized that he could be my next guest. All right. Oh well. Okay, so let's talk about future of this series. So we're gonna co-host, right?
Yeah.
And we're gonna seek out the collectors that are willing to be grilled by us, basically. If I put it like that, I'm sure nobody will come up. But join us with the drinks and stuff, and
there are so many comic book YouTube enthusiasts out there doing their own channels, sharing their collections and sharing, and it's a really tight knit and connected community. And so yeah, just an opportunity to for connect like we are doing now with more people in the community would be just amazing. Yeah, and just talking comic books and what we like. I definitely don't have as much comic book knowledge as I'd like, because I think a lot of us are just kind of in our collecting bubbles, and we don't venture outside of that oftentimes. But there's a lot of people with a lot of more broad knowledge of books and the characters and the history. So
oh
yeah.
yeah, I mean, if I didn't join this, if I didn't make this channel, I would not be able to meet these knowledge base like the guy I just made a video about, Roger, Meta Rock, and then you got Damien from Sleepy666, and I mean Gary be the casual comic guy. I mean, there's tons of people out there with tons of knowledge in different areas, overall comic book areas. I mean, you got the Bronze Age nerd, and so yeah, old and young, and I mean, I talked to a 13-year-old boy the other day, and he was just spitting out database. He was just
Yeah,
and if we would randomly pick out a comic book, he knows, what who wrote that, and I mean, I was like, oh my gosh.
yeah, that's really impressive.
Yeah. So, yeah, this community is just I mean, I just like to pick brains of people since I'm not the one with the knowledge. I could freely ask questions, and so I think people who are curious will make a good host. What do you think?
I
So
agree. Yeah, you just let the people with the knowledge talk.
yeah, so yeah, that's our plan. Wouldn't I'd like to do at least maybe once every week or 2 weeks. How's that sound?
Yeah, that sounds good. I think right now it's okay. We'll just have to, find some time that works with both our schedules. Um, I think the weekends, probably weekend evenings, would be maybe best for me, but we'll see.
Okay, that sounds good. We'll try the weekends, and now we are adding an additional I mean, we are adding additional what do you call it, variable in there because we're adding a guest to this. But between three of us, I'm sure whoever the guest may be, you know. So yeah, I really enjoyed this. This I mean, I'm really glad that I got to meet a fellow Korean comic book collector in our community, within our Korean community. It's rare that this kind of meeting could occur because um, first of all, my parents, I'm sure his parents too, they they go, "You what? Collecting comic books?"
Yeah,
When we're young.
yeah. I had to kind of keep my collection a secret from my parents.
And thank you, sir, for. And so my, uh, you know, yeah, Manapang, the mana place we go to. I, I would got like leave and I say I have to go, meet friend and we're going to do study whatever, right? Homework. I leave and I, I read comic books. uh, comic book home because surely I will get caught.
Yeah, you can't buy all those volumes. So what you do is you go to the comic shop and rent the books and read those.
Yeah,
It was
so
the only way to really get those books, get access to all those books.
having two Korean nerds in one room like this, comic book nerds who who are doing YouTube streams. These are all very oddball thing in our community. So for us to meet like this is very very rare thing. I mean, it's like this is first appearance of a Korean guys. So uh, anyway, uh, let's conclude this. Appreciate you coming by. Any
Anytime,
final
yeah.
any
Thank you for
final
having
words?
me. And yeah, come check out my channel. It's not the best content out there, but I have a real passion for it, and I'm not trying to sell anybody anything. I'm just literally sharing, what's in my collection and talking about my books and just share, showing off the covers that I really like. So if you like just looking at comic books and looking at collections, stop on by and I'm doing comic cover battles right now where I'm just pitting two comics. So, pitch
March
in.
Madness. March Madness.
March Madness is coming up. Yeah, the Sweet 16. So the top 16 comic books in that tournament are going to be set soon. So vote for those on my channel, and you'll see that probably within the next week or so, the Sweet 16 round.
Yeah, he also rated half price bookstore, bought comic book for like 50 cents each. And some of those comic I'm not supposed to spoil this. Anyway, I mean it's like go watch his video. That's really interesting.
So he's asking, do we interview YouTube hoarders? Yes, we do.
Yes, we do.
We'll interview the YouTube hoarders because
You're not. We titled this to meet the hoarder.
meet the hoarders. Yeah, not the collectors, the hoarders. We don't want to collect a bunch of people like, you know, flipping books. We want to collect the people. We want to talk to the people that you know, have all the worthless books in their collections and who's kept the worthless books in their collection over the years for 20 years.
Or she was out because we've been like sanctioned by the 20 people. Anyway, I don't want to get into that. All right, thanks. It's on the hour. Thanks for showing up, guys. I appreciate it. So look for this particular series. You know, me fumbling through this live channel thing. Yeah, appreciate it, guys, and appreciate you, Otaku Young. Last cheer, my last beer left.
Yep. Ramen Young, cheers. Yeah. Have a good night.
Good night. How do I cut? In broadcast.